Howdy folks, Brian Cusco here at Triple B, and today we've got John Chausmer of John Chausmer Reptiles. And last Tinley, John made a really good impression on me, and I just wanted to make a point of sitting down with him at this show and talking about his boas and seeing what he's got going on here in the reptile world. You're watching Triple B TV.
I mean, I'm trying to think any type of publicity is good publicity, I guess.
That's an argument that is certainly made.
I mean, I realize some things can be said to really twist that, but yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're talking about business or exposure, then publicity and how publicity can build that is... I think where bad publicity comes into play, it's tough to say, because a lot of bad publicity, at least I notice, is just somebody's opinion or multiple people's opinions that it's bad. And then there's another side to it where a lot of people are like, no, that's not bad.
Right.
And then that's why they stay up there. If everybody agreed it was bad, then they would kill it, right?
True.
If it was kind of like a universal, like, oh, this is not good, it would make it disappear. I think when bad publicity works is when it's just a section of people that think it's bad. And then there's a whole other section of people that are like, no, there's nothing bad about that.
Right. I mean, it's one thing. I guess it's one thing to look at where everything can be recognized for a reason, but should that be the reason? I guess I don't know if I'm wording that right, but I mean, I'm not sure if maybe I'm wording that totally wrong.
Say again?
I mean, maybe it's, certain things can be said to help the hobby, but I don't even think the right way I want to try and say it. Where I mean, certain things, good or bad, will help recognize something, but we make sure we want to recognize it in the right way. Is that maybe I'm not sure I'm wording that right or not?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying now. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there's two ways to get attention to something, and
maybe that's what I'm thinking. You can draw attention, good or bad, and it's drawing the attention. But it's like, do I want to draw it that way? I mean, like different when people posting videos, I guess, where it's like, hey, I can post this and get all these followers, but should I post it for that reason? I'm not posting it for the right followers. I'm just posting it for followers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a double-edged sword with people posting stuff like, I guess, like either feeding videos or we'll stick with feeding videos. Let's just say live feeding. In general. And granted, we know it has in this hobby it has to be done, but some people look at it like, oh, that's cruel or whatever. But I mean, some people will show killing an animal, whether mouse, rat, rabbit, whatever it is, as hey, people enjoy watching something die. But do you really want to draw that attention into your channel when you're trying to show the health and well-being of the other animal? Am I saying that right?
Yes,
right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And I totally understand that position. I recognize and appreciate where people have that view. And the tough thing about life is that death and life are so intertwined.
True.
It's like nothing is able to live without death.
Right.
And like especially animals that have to consume other animals in order to live.
Agreed.
But is that the way to draw in? That's not the attention you necessarily want if you're trying to fight for the image of an animal that is often misunderstood and represented as evil or seen as something to be feared.
Right.
That's not necessarily the way to bring the attention that you might want as a larger whole, is to shed them in good light and show their worth and that they have value, and then they're not just things that just like that catchphrase, and he's only good snake is a dead snake.
Right.
So I think the real trick is to somehow master the positivity, negativity, bait and switch thing, because people are just, for whatever reason, naturally drawn to those epicenters of death or negativity. Is like the car accident, the car crash where...
Train wreck.
Yeah, the whole train wreck thing.
Nobody wants to see it, but when it's there, you can't turn your head.
Yes, that. So you create that effect on the front where it's like, oh, what's happening there? I need to look at that. And then once you have the attention, be like, this is what I brought you here to see, which is this beautiful thing.
Right.
If you can manage to pull that off.
True.
then it can be a good thing. I've seen it done well sometimes. My buddy Adam's pretty good at it.
I mean, some people do it very well, and some do not.
True.
I mean, it just So I mean,
yeah. And sometimes I make the argument that like having those bad ways of doing it helps you see that there are better ways to do it too. It's like you wouldn't know the better way to do it if there was the worst way.
I mean, if you've been taught one way, it's the only way you know. So I mean, it's always nice to see it another way. So.
I love how this conversation is. This is great. This is the type of stuff I live for. This is good. But I specifically wanted to sit down with you to find out more about John Chausmer Reptiles and you and how you got into all this.
I mean, how I got into it. I mean, like everybody else, catching animals in the creek as a kid. My father was a snake lover. Never had any animals growing up. He didn't. I don't think I got my first snake until I was 12 or 13 years old. Granted, I caught everything from black rat snakes and garter snakes and water snakes in the wild, but my mother would never let me keep anything in the house. It wasn't until my junior high school when I went to a friend's house and seen a boa constrictor for the first time, and I was like, I've got to have that. And when I brought the idea home to my mother, she was just like, no, you can't have that. But after years of persuasion, begging and pleading, she finally gave in. And I think it was one of those things where, like with most kids, you give them a new toy or a puppy, and they love it for 6 weeks. And then it's like they don't pay attention to it anymore. It just went the total opposite way with me. Went from 1 to 2 to now I'm in 3 and 4 digits. So it's just grew. I love it. I just wouldn't have it any other way.
And how long have you? My understanding is that you just went full time like in this last year.
Yeah, I just quit my job officially October 13th last year, which is probably the best decision I've ever made. I mean, now I can give all the animals not that I wasn't getting the attention they deserved before, but now I'm down there. I think the COVID thing totally helped me with this decision because the job I had, I was able to work from home occasionally, and then once COVID hit, I worked from home full time. So that's an extra, few hours a day. I'm in my room, paying attention to everything. So I mean, I've had good breeding years in the past. I'm not complaining at all. But I noticed in 2020 and 2021, I'm in that room all day, every day. You notice everything. You notice, everything from the bowl wrapping to swelling to, who's breeding, who's not. And I mean, I could literally be, go somewhere for a couple of days, and I can tell my wife, hey, check these animals every day. She's going to ovulate within the next 2 or 3 days. So that way I'm not missing anything. I can time everything to the day, and just now I'm giving them more attention than they probably ever had before. I mean, I love it. I mean, this is the best decision I've ever made. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was nervous to do it. I mean, even the day I turned in my resignation, I was like, I did this. I love it. And then I got home. My wife came home, and I'm like, I don't know if I did the right thing or not. And it was nervous. I mean, I'm still nervous. I mean, I'm 6 months into this, and my goal intention before was to build a whole. My facility's on my property, so it's not a huge facility. It's 30 by 30. I'm in the process of building a whole nother facility that's 30 by 60. So I'll have one room for boas, one room for balls. And my goal was to have that room or that facility totally completed and then quit my job. I hadn't even started construction, and I quit the job. So, I mean, you always hear about people who spend their life savings investing into something, and it pans out for them. Well, that's the role I'm taking now, where I put everything into this, and it's working. I just needed to keep going. So I believe it will. I have full belief in this hobby, and I full believe what I do, and it's going to work for me.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
It's good.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Let's take a look at some of these animals you brought over here.
Yeah, I mean.
And while you're taking them out, I just kind of thought of something as we were sitting here with them on the table. Like, some people that watch the videos and never been to an expo, or even that have been expo, they don't know about what, like, they see an animal in a deli cup like that, they're like, oh, that's real great. Like, you don't give them any room to stretch out or anything like that. Maybe we can talk about like why animals like this travel in a container like that versus something bigger, I guess.
I mean, obviously, as we know, a lot of these animals, these are obviously boa constrictors, but a lot of animals feel safer confined in a smaller area. Granted, you're in a bigger container or like a bigger cage, if it's in that, especially shipping, coming from to and from shows, you're bouncing stuff around. It's just like a ball bouncing in a cage, where this here is moving a little bit, but it's not, I hate to use the phrase, giving it a concussion by bouncing it around. I mean, not that you want to shake the container, but if you do, it's not going to hurt anything. So they feel safer and more secure in a smaller area.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect. You couldn't explain it any better. It's literally that.
I mean, all animals, if given them the room, they will use the room. But they, at the end of the day, they're all going to crawl up in a small area and just relax and do what they want to do.
Yeah, for a snake especially. I mean, they are thigmotactic, and that they do like those small spaces make them feel more secure.
Right.
And then to your other point, if there's a bunch of space and you're moving, transporting, and one bounces this way, you have to hit the brakes or something, and they go
brakes,
sliding
speed
all the way
bump,
across.
Car stops in front of you.
Yeah. That's if you put them in a bigger container, it would be less comfortable and more dangerous for the animal.
Exactly. That's why you put your kid in a small car seat and strap them in.
Yes.
Not compared to the old days
exactly.
where with nothing else. So now he's on the move.
He was chill for a second.
He was chill. He's like, now taste of freedom.
So you work with mostly ball pythons and boa constrictors, or
boa constrictors are my love.
Okay.
This is what I enjoy the most. I do ball pythons. I've dabbled in a little bit of everything in the last few years. Over the years, my daughter, who now lives in California, not too far from you, her big thing was ball pythons. So as soon as she got into them, I bought her everything she wanted to keep her into the hobby. I got her a large collection of that, and then she moved to California. So I kind of sold off what I didn't want, and I kept the balls that I liked. So, but boas are what I enjoy the most. So, I mean, I have way more of these than I do. If there was no money in this or no future in the hobby, I would still do boas over balls any day. They're more personable, as you see. They're much more active, more moving. There's a lot more to them. So I just enjoy the boas over everything.
So what's going on with this animal in particular?
This is a fire jungle, 100% double het for the VPI snow. So it's het caramel albino and anatharistic. The fire is giving it the much lighter pattern to it, reducing the pattern. The jungle is the side lateral striping and brightness of the color as well. The fire is the single gene version, incomplete dominant version, we'll say, of the super fires. Same as in ball pythons. Only these guys, the black eye version. There's no blue eye version yet. So the fire will, like I said, it enhances everything, brightens the colors, but he does not want to hold still now. So, but yeah, this will give you the what Jeremy Stone originally called the Princess Diamond, which is basically the leucistic boa constrictor.
Right.
But like I said, I'm trying to get this into the caramel albino and the anatharistic version. I would like to have brought a snow over. I don't have any baby snows available at this time, which I'm hoping to have this year. But I'll have the hopefully snow version of this next year. I hope. That's the goal.
Okay.
I mean, the thing with boas, and I mean, boas to me is a much more rewarding breeding. Not everybody's breeding boas. They're not the easiest thing to breed, from my point. I mean, I could be somebody else might have this dialed in more than I do, but I mean, what people don't understand about boas being live bearers, I mean, your ball python lays eggs. If it gives you 6 eggs and one goes bad, you still got 5. With the boas, if something they obviously being live bearers, they hold on to things the entire time. If something goes wrong and the female drops early, you lose everything. There's no going back. You lose everything. So, but when it does happen, it's very rewarding. So, I mean, granted, with the boas, you're going to produce a much bigger litter than you will ball pythons. Balls, you're looking at 6 or 7 eggs on average. Boas, you're looking 20s, 30s. I mean, my highest was 42 I've ever had.
And you immediately have that many mouths to feed.
42 mouths to feed. Yeah. And that's the thing, but people realize, I can make, but I mean, I can make 1 litter of these or 7 or 8 litters or clutches of ball pythons. But I mean, it's just, you go from 1 mouth to feed to 40 overnight.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then you take longer, a little longer to reach maturity and.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because you figure
more patience involved.
Oh, dude, patience with boas, they'll teach you patience. Because it's not something that's overnight. You're looking at males. I've heard people breeding males at early as 18 months. I don't do it. I mean, I do like mine 2 to 3 years old. Females minimum 5 years old. I mean, you can breed them younger, but I don't recommend it. I mean, I like to have my female size because I think they bounce back better once they're a little older. I mean, and you can breed them young, but why ruin it?
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, I mean, and boas normally don't breed back to back every year, every other year, every third year. So, again, it teaches the whole patience thing. I mean, like I said, the good thing is where they're giving you that large litter, you know, if you're hitting, if you're doing the whole double head thing, and balls, you're looking at only 6 eggs, 1 in 16 chance, pretty slim. Where with Boas, if you're getting 42, you got a good chance of hitting what you're getting.
Yeah.
So that's the bonus for it.
Fair enough.
So, I mean,
what else you got sitting over here? This second one is highly intriguing.
All right. This is another one of the newer, not newer, but one of the another hot gene coming out here. This is a Hypo Jungle IMG. See if he'll calm down here for us.
Oh, so why that? Oh, he's good right there.
Yeah.
So this thing's gonna.
These will turn black.
Yeah.
With every shed, they turn blacker and blacker until they're almost solid black. The IMG Motley version literally turns solid black. It looks like it's been dunking in inkwell. They're incredible. No pattern left on them at all. Where the Hypo is a light enhancing or a lightning gene, lightning, you know, not a, you know, taken away.
Yes. Yeah. Removing some melanin.
Removing some melanin. So with that, because the fact that the IMG is increasing the melanin, IMG increasing the melanin gene, the Hypo tries to take that away. So the two genes actually fight each other. So I mean, they will still turn black, but not solid black. I mean, all the adults that I have, the dorsal's black, but the sides still have color to them. So or the actual pattern. So you're fighting it. Once you add jungle to it, you know, it helps break the pattern up more. So anything other pattern wise, whether it's Motley, jungle, Aztec, you know, arabesque, those are all going to break up the way the IMG works, but it still will turn black. I mean, it's amazing with the Hypo gene. I mean, I've seen some that only have a few specks that are IMG, and then some that are completely black. And, you know, people always think that, you know, I got to have a solid black one to produce solid black ones, and that's not true. You can have one that's just got, like, you know, it might, you know, they're going to turn 30% black, but it'll still produce the solid black ones. So that's the good thing about them. I've just recently put this into the IMG project, which, so you got the caramel albino on top of it. So the albino version, obviously albino's lacking all melanin, so it's yellow and white. When you add the IMG to that, it more enhances the white on it more than anything else. So yeah, so the VPI, where it's caramel albino, is you know, still has some melanin to it. So when these get older, they're going to turn almost solid black, but the caramel albino still bleeds through a lot more than it would on a regular plain IMG.
Okay.
So, I mean, the IMG is great, but like almost like having like a blue-eyed Lucy and ball pythons, where if you've got 5 other genes in that, you're not going to see it. Now, obviously, with the IMG, as a baby, it starts out, you see the jungle, the Motley, the arabesque, whatever you got in there. But once it gets adult, once it turns solid black, it's like it's a solid black. Yeah, where to go? I mean, granted, you know, for breeding purposes, obviously that does help. You know, it's going to bring it out and everything else. Yeah,
it's almost like a little cheat code. You don't need the You don't need the fluorescent or the black light.
Black light to cheat, yeah. So the pattern, the color, and everything's still there. It's just not as predominant once it's an adult snake. And like I said, I mean, I've seen these the IMG Motleys. They can be, you know, the IMG Motley as a baby, and I've seen it as early as 6 months be solid black. So they vary quite a bit. While you're filming him, I'm gonna pull this girl here out just to show another color.
Curious little dude.
See if she'll stay calm for us here. So this is the VPI, or caramel albino. So like I said, I've just recently added the IMG into this. So even though this still has the melanin, you know, the IMG still makes it pop even more. It just gives it a total different look.
Wow, I'd be really curious to see that animal as an adult.
Oh, they're amazing. They are amazing. They're like, let me slide.
Yeah, that jungle pattern, that's what's causing that. You said arabesque.
No, this is jungle.
This is jungle, okay.
This is jungle.
Yeah, that
the arabesque is more like a chain link pattern down the sides.
Okay, yeah, just that whole linked up wicked stripe going down the back. That's just
and
doing
the
all
jungle
kinds of
is
stuff.
the jungle is more than just pattern. I mean, it's a enhancing color. It's the pattern enhancing. It's got side lateral striping. There's so many different things to the jungle. I mean, some of them, like this one here, is a more extreme pattern of a jungle. Same with on the IMG here. But some can be very minimum, where it's just, I mean, you look at it by itself and you're like, man, I don't know if that's jungle or not. But if you put it in the whole litter when they're first born, just the extra enhancing color can make them pop extremely. So the jungle is probably one of my favorite genes.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, being not very involved in boas, every time I see a jungle, I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
wow.
there's like I said, it's not like even motley to motley, side by side, there's still slight differences. But in the jungle, it could be an extreme difference with them, which makes it even better.
Just very variable.
Very, very variable.
That's
like
awesome.
I said, no two are alike.
It's pretty sweet. That's some good-looking snakes, John.
Thank you.
Well, hey, man, I know the show's kind of getting to an end. I appreciate you taking some time away from the table.
Hey, thank you for having me out here, man.
Come sit down and talk with us and show us some cool snakes. Anything you'd like to say to the folks at home listening and watching before we get out of here?
Hey, thanks for all the support. Thanks for coming out to Tinley Park and seeing us. You know, I mean, it's not a huge drive for me. It's only 5 hours, but I love coming out here. I love seeing the people. I mean, I love it. I enjoy it. So I thank everybody for coming out.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Appreciate
you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the show today. I really appreciate it. And as we do with all of our guests these days, we're going to have a Zoom call with John tonight. There's a link down in the description if you'd like to join us and talk to John a little bit more about what he's got going on with boas. I feel like it's a good mind of somebody to ask who's just recently moved full-time into snake breeding. If that sounds like something that would interest you, then I'd invite you to join us tonight for the Zoom call. Again, click the link down in the description. You figure out how to be there with us. And if we don't see you tonight, then hopefully we see you next week right back here on B TV. Until then, y'all take care. That's why, yeah, speak freely, knowing that if at any point, I mean, look, the nice thing to know here is like this is recorded. We're not live here.
Okay.
So I've done interviews with people. I did some at the last Tinley where after we were done, even like after we had done it, like we walked away, everything was done, and like a couple days later, she said, could you please not put that up? And I said, yeah, no problem.
That's good.
No problem. You know, I'm not, if somebody's not comfortable, and to be fair, it wasn't like it was just like it got pretty emotional. So it was
right.
Like there was fairly good reason for her to be like,
understand.
I'd really appreciate if we didn't put that up. And I was like, I totally get it. It's not going up.